Fairy Tale by Stephen King. Charlie Reade is a tall, athletic high school student carrying a heavy, emotional burden. When he was 7, his mother was killed by a careless driver on a treacherous bridge. The tragedy drove his grieving father into severe alcoholism, forcing young Charlie to become the household caretaker. Terrified of losing his father to the bottle, Charlie makes a desperate plea, promising God that if his dad gets sober, Charlie will do good deeds for the rest of his life. Miraculously, his father finds Alcoholics Anonymous and achieves lasting sobriety. Charlie never forgets his end of the bargain. Years later, Charlie gets a chance to fulfill his promise when he hears a dog howling in distress. He investigates and finds Howard Bowditch, a fiercely reclusive, white-haired curmudgeon, lying on his property with a shattered leg. His companion is Radar, a massive but elderly and arthritic German shepherd. Charlie calls an ambulance and volunteers to care for Radar and the property while Bowditch recovers. Over the following months, a bond forms between the teenager, the aging dog, and the grumpy old man. Charlie becomes Bowditch's primary caretaker, learning the man is a hoarder who pays for his living expenses with solid gold pellets kept in a hidden safe. Bowditch also fiercely guards a padlocked shed in his backyard, from which Charlie occasionally hears terrifying, unearthly scratching sounds. Despite Charlie's dedicated care, Bowditch suffers a fatal heart attack. He leaves Charlie a cassette tape detailing an impossible secret. Bowditch is actually 120 years old, kept alive by a magical sundial in a parallel world accessible through the backyard shed. He leaves Charlie his entire estate, the gold, and his beloved Radar. Just as Charlie processes this, he is confronted by Christopher Polly, a dirty, weasel-faced thug who murdered Bowditch's jeweler contact and has broken into the house for the gold. Charlie manages to outsmart the diminutive criminal, breaking his wrists in a desperate struggle and chasing him away. With his secret safe but Radar rapidly failing, Charlie packs a bag, leaves a reassuring note for his father, and descends the dark, spiraling stone steps hidden inside the shed. At the bottom of the long, bat-infested tunnel, Charlie and a weakening Radar emerge into Empis, a fairy tale realm suffering under a terrible curse. They are greeted by a breathtaking field of fragrant red poppies, but the beauty is deceptive. Charlie soon meets Dora, a remarkably kind woman whose face is melting away into featureless gray flesh. She repairs shoes for the endless stream of refugees fleeing a creeping disease known as the Gray. Dora provides Charlie with a lightweight handcart to carry the exhausted Radar, pointing him down the long road toward the capital city of Lillimar. Along the way, Charlie encounters Leah, a stunningly beautiful young woman who tends a flock of geese. Her flawless features are marred by a terrible scar where her mouth should be, forcing her to communicate through ventriloquism via her magical white horse, Falada. Leah reveals she is actually the rightful princess of Empis. Her royal family was slaughtered in a coup by her own brother Eldon, who was corrupted by a dark power and is now known as the Flight Killer. Eldon's curse is turning the populace into gray, melting husks. Leah directs Charlie to her uncle, Stephen Woodley, an exiled royal who was entirely blind, his eyes replaced by smooth scar tissue. Woodley and his fiercely loyal deaf cousin Claudia live in the outskirts of the haunted city. They explain that whole people, like Charlie and the exiled royals, are immune to the Gray, which is why Eldon is hunting them down. Claudia gives Charlie a heavy, 3-wheel tricycle with a large basket, allowing him to transport the dying Radar much faster. She warns him to be absolutely silent in Lillimar, and to escape before nightfall to avoid the horrific night soldiers, undead, skeletal guards cloaked in crackling blue electricity. Charlie enters the massive walls of Lillimar, finding a ruined, terrifying metropolis. The architecture twists and shifts at the edges of his vision, and the air reeks of rot. Following a trail of faded initials left years ago by Mr. Bowditch, Charlie pedals the tricycle deep into the palace grounds. He must sneak past Hannah, a 20-foot-tall, boil-covered giantess with filed teeth who guards the palace's real courtyard. Charlie slips past the sleeping giantess and discovers the magical sundial in an overgrown alcove. With Radar gasping her final breaths, Charlie places the dog on the stone dial. Straining with every ounce of his athletic strength, he forces the heavy mechanism to turn backward. With each rotation, time reverses for the dog. By the time Charlie pulls her off the dial, Radar is a muscular, sleek, and vibrant young German shepherd once again. Their joy is short-lived.
A malicious dwarf named Peterkin spots them and alerts the guards. Charlie urges Radar to flee back to Claudia, slapping her away just as a horde of blue-glowing night soldiers swarms him. A skeletal hand wraps around Charlie's throat, dragging him into darkness. Charlie awakens in Deep Malign, a damp, miserable dungeon far beneath the palace. He is trapped with 31 other whole people, prisoners gathered by the Flight Killer for a twisted gladiatorial tournament known as the Fair One. Charlie bonds with his fellow captives, including the massive and gruff Iota, the fierce warrior women Jaya and Eris, and a sickly man named Hamey. The prisoners are routinely taken to a massive stadium to train with fighting sticks and spears, watched over by the sadistic Lord High Kellen, the elegantly dressed undead commander of the Night Soldiers. Charlie quickly realizes that his time in Empis has somehow altered him. His hair has turned blonde, his eyes blue, and the prisoners begin to revere him, believing he is the mythical promised prince destined to save them. When the gladiatorial games finally begin, the prisoners are forced to fight each other to the death while Eldon, a bloated, green-faced monstrosity wrapped in purple robes, watches from a royal box with his cruel consort Petra. Forced into the arena, Charlie uses his wits and agility to defeat a massive, brutal prisoner named Claw, driving a shattered fighting stick into the man's throat. Refusing to die as a pawn, Charlie orchestrates a daring escape. Remembering how the Night Soldiers' electrical auras reacted poorly with moisture, Charlie instructs the surviving prisoners to hoard their washing buckets. When the skeletal guards arrive to march them to the next round of death matches, the prisoners douse them with water. The Night Soldiers violently explode into showers of bones and sparks. Led by Charlie, the prisoners break out of the dungeon, navigating the treacherous palace tunnels with the help of a giant, highly intelligent red cricket known as the Snab, whose life Charlie had saved earlier on the road. They emerge into the city just as Hana's towering, bloodthirsty daughter, Red Molly, attacks. Charlie empties the small-caliber pistol he took from the real-world thief Polly into Red Molly's face, bringing the giantess to her knees. Just as more night soldiers close in, millions of monarch butterflies, the rightful magic of Empis, swarm the undead guards, short-circuiting their blue auras and allowing the prisoners to reach the city gates. There, Charlie is joyously reunited with a rejuvenated Radar and Princess Leia, who has rallied an army of Greyfolk. Though they have escaped, the true threat remains. The two moons of Empis, Bella and Arabella, are aligning in the sky. When they touch, Eldon plans to open the dark well hidden deep beneath the palace, fully unleashing the ancient, world-destroying god that corrupted him. Charlie, Leia, Radar, and a few brave companions re-enter the palace to stop the apocalypse. They descend hundreds of feet beneath the dungeons into a vast, terrifying cavern lit by alien stars. The Flight Killer stands at the edge of the massive well, pulling levers on a colossal wooden derrick. Eldon is no longer entirely human. His lower half has transformed into a massive of Squirm's black tentacles. Leia bravely steps forward, pulling a dagger to slice open the scar covering her mouth. Bleeding and screaming, she begs her brother to stop. For a fleeting moment, Eldon seems to recognize his sister and regrets his monstrous bargain, but the entity in the well takes control. The well's massive lid opens, and a horrifying creature made of oily black flesh, thorny wings, and gigantic golden eyes begins to emerge. It impales Eldon, dragging him down into its mass. As the monstrous Gog-Magog pulls itself into the cavern, Lea's magic commands fail to halt it. Remembering the classic fairy tale of Rumpelstiltskin, Charlie realizes that knowing a monster's true name grants power over it. Channeling the fierce, regal energy he has absorbed in Empis, Charlie screams the beast's name, declaring, "I know your name, Gog-Magog, and I command you to return to your lair." The beast shrieks in agony at the sound of its name, shrinking back into the abyss. Leia operates the derrick, slamming the heavy lid shut and sealing the monster away. In the aftermath, Eldon's wicked consort Petra lunges from the shadows, sinking her filed, venomous teeth deep into Charlie's arm before Leia shoots her dead. Charlie falls into a deep fever, hovering near death from Petra's toxic bite. He awakens weeks later in a sunlit palace room. With the Flight Killer dead and Gog-Magog sealed away, the curse on Empis is broken. The Greyfolk are slowly healing, the skies have cleared to a brilliant blue, and Leia has taken her rightful place as the beloved queen. Though Leia and Charlie share a deep, mutual love, they both know he does not belong in Empis. The magic of the world is slowly fading from his body, his hair and eyes returning to their normal colors. He has a grieving father waiting for him back in Illinois. In a tearful, grand farewell, Queen Leia and the citizens of Empis send Charlie and Radar off with a hero's procession. Charlie and his young, energetic dog journey back up the spiral stairs, slipping through the shed and back into the snowy, mundane reality of his backyard. He reunites with his overjoyed father, who had been desperately searching for him for 4 months. To prove his unbelievable tale, Charlie shows his father the young Radar and the bucket of gold. Understanding the catastrophic danger if humanity ever discovered the magical, resource-rich world below, Charlie and his father rent a cement mixer. Together, they pour thick concrete over the well, sealing the portal to Empis forever, leaving the fairy tale behind to protect both worlds.